This is market recap for it's not September anymore, October 1st, 2025. Today, as you can see, we played bullish. We had this pretty big sell side wick here that was we had a hard time going. We were still stuck in that 4 hour fair value gap. Um, oops. Yeah, as you can see here, it's still stuck within this 4 hour. But the thing that convinced me that we're playing bullish today is one, higher time frame, we're bullish, right? On the daily time frame, we're bullish. Second is this, right? This closure within this inside of this 4 hour fair value gap after having this huge wick. I mean, price had to try really hard to come all the way back up to close inside this 4 hour. So it's pretty confident with that the hourly time frame here, um, was simply just a retrace. That I was pretty confident about that. We had this fair value gap here, got a rejection off the top of it with these two candles there, and then closed above it, react off it here once. But then as you see on the lower time frame, market opened, tripped some people in, and then we came all the way back down, tapped almost concentrate encroachment of it. But then eventually we just went, and we kind of just went and went and went today. There was no real retrace, which was pretty nice. Although price did take a while to get everywhere, but it's besides the point. So, as I mentioned here, market opened, rallied upwards, failed to take out this high, right, which is one reason why I was skeptical, right, at this point when we failed to take this high and started to deeply retrace, especially once we took out this low. I was like, am I really bullish today? And then I looked in the 4 hour and the 1 hour. I said, yeah, I mean, it still supports it. We had this higher time frame, well, not super high time frame, but we had this SMT of these two lows, which was kind of the backbone of this. If this SMT went away, if ES swept this low, I would just not have traded today because my bias told me we're bullish. This SMT, we're bullish, right? No matter how deeply it retraced, if this SMT still existed at the right time, I'm taking that bullish. So that happened. We then from there kind of just expanded straight upwards, took out this high, and the 11 o'clock London close had this tiny retrace down to here below. I believe we broke this low. If not this one, we definitely broke these two. And then we just continued our way up to this high and then just kept going all the way to all-time highs where we tapped out for New York session. We didn't put a single candle body up there, kind of hit it and then just retraced and fell back into the range to close that. The 5 minute time frame. Oops, I'm gonna move that. At this point here, we also had an SMT, right? And so if this just went away, right? If price just rallied here, then I would have looked for the retrace and then played that retrace bullish during the macro. But we didn't take this high. Instead, we came all the way back down below this low, which is still that SMT. During the excuse me, during the macro, we then expanded up once again. This 5 minute for value gap here was very telling for me. We had it here, respected it. You can see we tried to close outside of it, but then the next candle, we expanded upwards, tapped back down into it, almost hit that concentrate encroachment once again, and then expanded up. Kind of got a little edged right here. We were, what this high is, 913.75, and I was at 912. This was my first profit. So we almost hit it, and then we retraced a decent amount. Not like anywhere down here, but we retraced, and so I was like, because I mean, at this point I was break even, so I wasn't too invested, but I was like, okay, come on, this is ridiculous. And then we hit it. And then from there, I said, you know what? See how it treats this low. And then from there, we'll determine what I do with my position. Given that it is the 11 o'clock retrace and we could see some sort of retrace here, liquidity sweep of this, I believe it's actually an SMT, worked just fine. And then from there, lunch took its time, but it got up to here, which was my final profit of the day. I didn't really think we'd expand all the way to all-time highs, but we did. And so lunch ended, PM session started, we played some sort of sell side, took out these lows over here, and then continued to play bullish, again tapping that all-time high before closing for the day. Now again, the 1 minute doesn't really show much more, but you can see here, market opened, rallied pretty significantly. During this consolidation right here, ES was still printing higher prices, which told me, even though we have this intermediate high over here to hit, and ES is going up, but NQ is not, even with this high here, that we're going to go down. And so we did come down, took out this low. ES made equal lows with this low, but it didn't break this one, which is why we still have that SMT. And then from there, boom, the macro start playing bullish. Inverse for value gap right here on the 1 minute time frame, although that's not what I traded. What I traded with this was this SMT of these lows here. ES, this 10 o'clock news spiked down, didn't take out this low, but it took out this low. It was pretty close to this one, but nonetheless took out that one, gave me that SMT. And so I believe I entered at 02. I entered like here. Right, once I got that change in the state of delivery on the 15-second, I was actually a little cautious to take this trade just because of the way that price action was playing today. It wasn't my favorite. So I waited for a little extra confirmation as far as the change in the state of delivery closure goes. Now, after that, kind of, you can see here, we didn't really want to go up. We just kept going away, going. And I do believe that is because of, and I'm sure you've heard a lot about it, but the government shutdown, market, there was no, well, the news did come out today. There was news that came out today, which is, you know, it's probably why we went anywhere, but it is most likely why we are seeing kind of sluggish price action today. I found that out in hindsight, but it makes a lot of sense. But we still had those high draws in liquidity, which is initially, at the end of the day, what took us to these highs here. And then again, SMT of these lows here, a little late for the macro, so I wouldn't want to get in this one. But SMT of these lows could take you long. Again, targeting this next high, and then launch takes its time, but eventually something, being the macro, snaps it out of that and it goes to take out this high over here, and that is where my final profits were for the day. We then had this SMT of lows here, and then the macro here. So this right here is telling me, okay, we're most likely not going to go lower than this. And so if we wait until the macro gets some sort of lower time from SMT, we can take this long. Unfortunately, we did not get that lower time from SMT. So, I mean, not that I was looking to trade, because I really thought that this high over here was going to be our limit for the day. But let's say I thought we'd have, I thought there was a higher draw on liquidity. I wouldn't have been able to take it because there was no lower time from SMT. So, but it did end up drawing to all-time highs here. And then as you can see, that was our final profit as we did, final target of the day, because we hit it, did nothing, and then retraced back into the daily range. Now, higher time frame, just broke all-time highs. I'd like to see a 4-hour close up here. Look on the daily time frame, it's possible. Yeah, I think tomorrow might play bullish as well. I really, for some weird reason, want to see a daily candle close above this high over here. Reason for that being is that kind of solidifies us going up on the higher time frame. It feels kind of weird for us to stick a toe up here and then stick a bigger toe up there and then come all the way back down to retrace like on the 4-hour. But I do think we will retrace at some point, but I'm kind of in my mind saving that for Friday, right? Like that's most likely going to happen Friday. So what I'd like is to close this 4-hour. I don't know how much time we have left on it. An hour, looks by the looks of it. We have an hour left. I'd be okay if we closed this, retraced, tapped into this 4-hour here, consolidated, and then some SMT of lows tomorrow to play bullish. That's just what I see, and kind of what I'm looking for. But that's merely just like if I had to choose something, that is just what my gut is telling me right now. That could be entirely wrong, but it's what I'm going with for now. So this has been your market recap for October 1st, 2025.